Take my lamb, take me where I cannot spam. I don't care, I'm still P. You can't take my ham from me. It's all about ham at the end. Yeah. They can't take the ham from you.
You gotta listen to the subtext in the Firefly opening song.
Yeah, technically the whole thing is actually about a pork shortage.
Which is ironic that they're, moving cattle from place to place instead of pork. Cause
I mean, if wishes were horses, we'd all be eating steak.
Oh, thanks, Jane.
Jane, always helpful in every conversation. Hey, everybody out there, as you've probably guessed by now, since most of you are probably firmly ensconced in the nerd world, as we are, we're doing Firefly today. And next week we're doing Serenity, which I haven't seen yet.
Which I'm super stoked about. Like, I'm obviously going to stay away from anything that, is involved with Serenity and whatnot. But I'm really excited that you're finally going to be watching that.
Oh, fuck yeah. No, so am I. I'm glad it's one of my favorite things about this podcast, and I know I've said it before, but it forces me to actually, sit down and watch things that I've been meaning to watch for a really long fucking time, and I just haven't forced myself to watch, because I'll be, tired, and I'll be like, let's watch Burn Notice for the 17th time. I'm super stoked about that as well. But for today, since we're dealing with Firefly, little background, I guess, for those of you who don't know Firefly, which is kind of rare at this point.
I mean, Fox did such a good job promoting it the first time around.
Yeah, well, but I mean, it's become such a cult hit.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, it's Joss Whedon, the director and writer and creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel and Dr. Horror's Sing-Along blog. Basically, his first project, other than Buffy and Angel for television, was a sci-fi western, essentially, set in about 500 or 600 years in the future, out on the galactic rim at the very edge of human colonization. And the concept of it being that, basically, a la capitalism, tons of people just got shipped off to settle places, kind of the way they did in Australia. Like, we dropping you off, here's some livestock, some hammers, live with it. And so, people have, radios and are in contact with other planets, but a lot of, especially the rim worlds, are extremely rough, and, things like a concentrated brick of dehydrated food and vaccination supplements is one of the most valuable goods that you can possibly find. And the political situation of it is that there were core planets that were very rich, and then there were other rich planets that were somewhat outside of the core central area, and the core planets all decided that they wanted to rule everything and fought a war to conquer everybody else, and won. And a bunch of the veterans who were on the losing side of that war have drifted out to the edge because fuck the government, and are now basically libertarian scavenger truckers, basically, in the Old West. So it's a fun show. It's a very unique premise. And, well, I don't know if anyone else has ever done a space western, other than fucking, Shinichiro Watanabe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily going against that, but, there's certainly core themes, you think about the whole space colonization and the outer planets kind of being against the core alliance, and that's something that's played out a lot.
That's very, very Colony Wars, if we're going to go all the way back. Did you ever play Colony Wars?
No, I did not.
Okay, old school space.
I was actually thinking
game.
Gundam when I was saying that.
Oh shit! Okay, so we went different direction. Well, that's cool. Now we have a wide variety of things that it's similar to. But I don't know. I thought that the implementation of exactly how they do the whole world and the feel of it was really, really unique, and also especially for a TV show that was airing in essentially a primetime slot, I believe. They fucked them on the slot because they put them up against one of the most popular shows on television. They didn't promote the show, and they aired the episodes out of order because Fox makes great decisions for no apparent fucking reason. There's a 2-hour pilot episode that's like a movie that opens the show, and it's really not like a pilot and then it's the show. It's the first fucking episode of the show. Like, and instead they showed episode like 4 where they rob a train, and I was like,
This is episode 2.
It's episode 2. Okay, but I mean, even so, like,
it's interesting the first episode, Serenity, because it's so long and because the change in tone from the start of it to the rest of it, it's a little jarring, but at the same time it sets up everything that you need. Like, you have that whole dynamic of who Mal is, his relationship with Zoe, why he wears the fucking brown coat the whole time, doesn't take it off, why he fucking hates the Alliance.
Yeah, well, it gives you all of the characters. It gives you the quick intro to all the characters, the quick intro to all of the basic world elements.
Right.
And there's also just a really fucking, like, solid piece of filmmaking. Like, it's not amazing or spectacular, but it's totally solid. They do a great job with it. And they were also willing, again, I this is something I sound like a fucking broken record about because I say this every goddamn time we do a review of something, but I really respect it when they aren't where they're not afraid to go harsh and real with it, with the harsh realities of this universe. So when they introduce the Reavers, and there's the whole, like, Reavers are, again, for the uninitiated, horrible, awful, barbarian dudes who have gone nuts because they hit the galactic edge and have been living without any kind of resources or support for a long-ass time. And the general mysticism about it with people who live out on the border colonies is that, staring into the blackness of, like, infinite dead space drives the human mind crazy, and so you become one with that infinite abyss. And basically the Reavers are these horrible, marauding nutbags. And at one point they're passing a Reaver ship, and one of the characters who's not from the Edge and is like, oh god, I thought Reavers were just a myth, asks what's gonna happen if, like what happens if they board us. And Zoe, the first mate, turns to him and says, if they take the ship, they're going to rape us to death, eat our flesh, and sew our skin into their clothing. And if we're really lucky, they'll do it in that order. And then walks out of the room. And that, for, like, a primetime Fox slot, piece of dialogue is pretty, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rowdy. And, I appreciate that. I appreciate them actually being willing to do that. And it makes me sad that they didn't, have the time to actually show the Reavers on the show. I know that they actually do appear in Serenity. You actually get to see them. We're not discussing Serenity, though.
Well, I mean, since you haven't seen it yet, it'd be really awkward.
It'd be like, well, But, they show the ship from a distance, and you see, like, the guy who's the survivor of the Reaver attack in that one episode.
Bushwhacked,
Yeah, which is such a great... I love that one, and I love the whole exploration of that.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to me because when I first watched the show, it wasn't one of my more favorite episodes, and I'd still say that's probably the case. But even the episodes that I'm not, like, head over heels with, there's so many elements of world building and character development.
Yes.
Like, there's not an episode that you watch and you feel, oh, this is a waste of time, this is a waste of space. It's all building towards something. And there are so many through lines with it. And, it's tough to say that, oh, they seeded stuff or, like, they were trying to do all this, because there's only one season.
Yeah.
So it's more like a great foundation that we wish there would have been more that was able to be done with.
Though, and that's the sadness, is that they planted all those seeds and they didn't get watered because Fox fucked them, didn't promote it, put it in a time slot against the most popular shows on television, and then aired it out of order. And then were surprised when it didn't have high viewership, and then canceled it after half a goddamn season. Like, which is, it's so goddamn depressing. And especially knowing the way that Joss Whedon writes his, like, long-lasting storylines, and especially because there was, like, no filler in the entire fucking season. I do really believe that all of that was seeding stuff that he planned to do, because in interviews, and I always forget which direction the numbers go on this, he was going to do, I believe, 5 seasons and 3 movies to, like, fill out the world and the whole storyline. It was either 5 seasons and 3 movies or 3 seasons and 5 movies, but I think it was 5 seasons and 3
That makes
movies.
more logical sense.
It'd be easier to get through, like, yes, we'll do 3 seasons, and then oh, God, what would that even be? What's Greek for 5? I can't remember, because it's not a tetralogy. That would be 4. Immaterial. Fucking immaterial. But because of that, yeah, you have, like, all of that wonderful seeding, like, all the stuff with Book. Like, Book is just such a great character that it makes me so frustrated.
Someday you're going to tell us how a shepherd knows so much about these things.
Yeah. Or my personal favorite being the one where they're like, oh, God, Book got shot at the stolen cattle deal. Oh, God, what are we going to... All right, we'll take him to the Alliance ship because we can't let him die. We'll risk it. And the Alliance ship is like, well, we're not just for any civilian. And then Book is like, just look at my ID. And then they're like, take this man to the infirmary. Yeah. And there's that great scene at the end where Mal's like, Book. so what's up with that ident card? Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and the whole stuff with Early when he's like, what the hell's wrong with you? You beat up a shepherd. He's like, that ain't no shepherd.
That ain't no shepherd. And whatever that is, because, and again, yeah, whatever that is, because there's the thing at the end where Mal goes, you gonna tell us? You gonna tell us what the fuck is going on? And Shepherd goes, someday. I like you, Mal. Just like, you prick. You prick. But that's also part of why everything that they seed with that, including that amazing... I don't want to get into it yet, so I'll save it for when we're actually discussing Objects in Space.
Okay. I mean, we can do that now.
We can do that now. Because Objects in Space, oh my god, is, I think, the single best piece of cinema I've ever seen in television. Like, I can't think of a single...
That's a bold statement, and I can't really quantify or I mean, you know what my watching preferences, and like, not to shit on like a lot of comedy or like animated stuff, but it's very different.
Yes. And well, which is why, like, and I think that there are definitely some anime shows that are in the running for, like, that have episodes that are like, this is like some truly top-notch filmmaking, but the way that they're able to shape the tension, the emotions, every single shot looks like a fucking painting in Objects in Space. And so you're like exploring it, that whole opening sequence with River, where she's wandering around the ship and she's listening to everyone's thoughts while observing their behavior and dealing with the whole like hardcore schizophrenia thing in like one of the most realistic ways I've ever seen it dealt with from an internal perspective. Like, nobody does schizophrenia correctly, and they did it so goddamn right. But that amazing, going back to the book thing specifically, that incredible moment where she's walking through the kitchen and it's Jane and Book, like, shooting the shit and talking about, like, what, preachers have to be celibate? Well, what do they, chop it off? And he's like, no, they don't chop it off. You just don't use it. That's the point. And you get the shot inside Jane's head, which is just repeating what he said in the airlock, which is what I thought was so cool about the way they did that. Was, I got stupid, the money was too good, about the betrayal from the earlier episode. And then cutting to what's going on inside Book's, like, laughing, cheerful, I accept everybody, I love everybody, we're all friends, and forgiveness and pacifism, like, facade. It's the first time you see inside of it. And the, like, viciousness of his internal voice is so, like, just the one line, just the, I don't give a hump if you're guilty or not. So where does that leave you? And then cutting right back to the laughter was such an incredibly powerful trope. Like, I got goosebumps right now talking about it. And it's, again, part of why I'm so frustrated that they didn't make more, just so I could see more of, like, what the shit is Book's deal? And I assume that they try and cap it off with Serenity, because the whole point of Serenity was that it was trying to deal with the whole thing. But again, I haven't seen Serenity.
So I'm just going to sit here and sip my energy drink because I can't say anything.
Jimmy John's. Yeah, basically.
But yeah, it was interesting rewatching that episode recently. Like, part of me wished that A, it would have continued, and B, that Early would have somehow survived and come back, like, a la Boba Fett, because I love that character. Fucked up character, but, like, absolutely, like, gold.
So unique.
Like, I love the bit when he's just walking around with Simon and fucking with Simon. He's like, no, you're going to come with me because every second you're with me is a chance for me to slip up. And you can take your moment.
Yeah, like, pick your moment. And then there's the one where he's about to pick it and he just pulls the gun.
It's not your time yet.
It's not your moment, Doctor. Sit down. Like, all of that. Well, even just the, it's the isolation. Because he lives totally inside of his own head. And it's part of why he's so efficient at what he does. But then there's also all of the awkward things where he, just mishears people and, thinks people are saying things and just goes on, the weird rants. And they're like, all right, Early. What the shit are you talking about? And also, yeah, hey, so... we're all reasonable people, and you're aware of the fact that I can very much rape you right now. So, let's all play nice, because I don't want to rape you, but I entirely will if it's, helpful to my mission to rape you repeatedly. Just that's the coldest.
Yeah.
Just all of that.
It's one of those things that, I know, the end point in it, so, watching it again, it kind of dulls some things for me, but at the same time, I still have that gut of, don't fuck with Kaylee. I like Kaylee. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's engineers, maybe it's the specific characters, but, Kaylee and Jordy.
Yes.
They're the sweetest people. You don't fuck with them.
They're, good, pure people who just want to help everyone and everyone to get along. And Kaylee is in so many ways the moral and emotional center of the group throughout. And so, because she is that. She is pure and she is good. And in a life that has, no purity and no goodness, that's why she's a gem. And also, she's an amazing engineer.
I thought you were going back to her name being Jewel. The actual actress's name being Jewel.
Oh! I didn't know that. That's excellent. I just made a pun and I didn't even fucking know it. Hey, Jewel, what's your last name?
State, I believe.
Jewel State?
I think it's Staite.
Oh. Funky. That's a crazy name. Well, Jewel State, you did a great job, and your character was definitively a jewel. And I'm sorry that I haven't seen you in anything else. You've probably done other things.
I fucking haven't either, but, it's the weird thing, too. I can't necessarily say across the board that everybody's an amazing actor in it, but I think they all did a great job at portraying their character.
Very much so.
And, going into the show, there's people in it that have done other things, but, I didn't really know them from anything else yet.
Yeah.
So having that first exposure to them was interesting, and at the same time, having a show where you have people that are perfectly cast for their roles.
Yes.
But they're not, super, it's not a household name necessarily.
Yeah.
I thought was excellent.
And I agree. I thought that the casting was across the board, so dead on perfect for each of the roles. And, it's also Alan Tudyk. I will watch Alan Tudyk in legitimately anything. He's the reason I actually finally watched A Knight's Tale. Because since I was 9, I was it's not medieval.
But it was never intended to be.
But that's not historically accurate. I'm a humorless schmuck when it comes to that, and I was more so as a child. I was very much the meh, you didn't do it right. Meh, I don't want it. So I saw the posters and I saw a tiny fragment of the film, and I was it's wrong. And never watched it. And so finally I was oh shit, Alan Tudyk's in this. I need to get up, I need to pull the stick out of my ass and get my shit together and watch this movie. And I was hell yeah, Alan motherfucking Tudyk. So yeah, I'll watch his ass in anything.
I love that his audition for the show was literally just him playing with dinosaurs, and how they kept that as a constant thing. There's the opening shot of him with the dinosaurs, and then they're always on the dash.
Your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
They're always on the dash, and then there's the thing where they're going through his bunk, trying to find, any shred of evidence of other people that might be on board the ship. There's the dinosaur that falls out of his bunk.
Well, yeah, they dump a box of them, I think. And yeah, I love that. I didn't know that was his audition.
Yeah.
But that makes so much sense from the way that Wash deals with everyone, because it's all that weird, he's doing all of this weird hyper reality meta play commentary on everything that everyone else is doing. And it's part of why everybody loves Wash.
And hates him.
Yeah, because everyone's like, Wash, fuck you. Just fly the ship, damn it. Which, the one episode with him and Mal and Niska.
Yeah, I love that episode.
This marriage needs one less husband. I love all the shit with Niska.
Honey, it was the torture talking. It was the torture, remember?
Yeah, come on, it was the torture. Don't do this, man. Yep, according to your husband, the only way for us to fix our relationship is for us to we just gotta have sex. I'm sorry, we gotta do it for the crew. Which, I love the way that they do that, and the through line of the, are you familiar with the works of Shan Yu? Like, the, psychotic dictator and mass murderer. Oh, yes, but he was also quite a philosopher and poet.
He fancied himself quite the warrior poet.
The warrior poet, that was it. And, yeah, all of the shit with Niska and that, which is so perfect. And is another character that I thought was so flavorful and so interesting.
I agree. I'm not as big a fan of the first episode with him train job, but at the same time, it sets up everything for War Stories, which is one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah, that fucking episode is top notch. But yeah, like, I feel like that first one was literally just establishing Niska as this kind of antagonist character, who obviously was originally intended to be a long-term antagonist. There's the thing at the end where they're like, yeah, should we have really left him alive? And Mal's like, yeah, probably not. We're probably gonna bite us in the ass, but I don't shoot men in cold blood. Like, which I love, because he sticks to that. And there's that great line, episode 2.
I was just thinking back to the first episode, the very end of it, where the lawman's threatening them, and he just comes on board, pulls out his gun, and shoots him.
You better all stay! He's like, no! Like, yeah, he shoots him in the middle of a monologue, because he's got a fucking gun on...
Well, there's also Reavers coming, and they need to get the fuck
he's
out.
Like, we're getting out. But again, he still wouldn't have shot the guy if he didn't have a fucking gun. It's on the river, right?
I forget
who he has a gun on at that point.
It could have been Kaylee, because she gets the dick so many times. Well, she doesn't actually get the dick, and that's part of the problem.
No. Because she wants that Simon dick. Which also made me
Zero people skills, Simon. Zero people skills.
Oh my god, he's the worst. Like, that was, rewatching the show, that was, like, by far the hardest thing to watch, was all of the scenes of him just being like, yuck, 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 I'm gonna make this comment that is horrifically insulting to you and every single part of your lifestyle, and then be like,
so what's the problem?
What did I do wrong, guys?
You mad, bro?
Wait, what? Oh no, I didn't mean it. Yes, you did. You meant every single word you just said. Like, that scene, every time, just, like, kicks me square in the taint. And I'm just like, God damn it, Simon.
Yeah.
That whole episode, which I love, that's one of my favorites. The one with Book getting injured, and Simon and River getting kidnapped and taken by the hill people, who are the religious
She's a witch.
zealots. Yeah, they're the fucking religious zealots. And then the patriarch is like, I'm the patriarch, don't worry. You know what I do here? Yeah, you're in charge here. Oh yeah, and you were friends with the other patriarch. Oh, he was sick. Oh, he was getting better, but then you visited him alone. Blasphemy! She's a witch! Like, immediately, like, which is, again, River is so broken, and I'm sad we didn't get to see her at, like, max power, because max power River would have been awesome.
Well, yeah, you can kind of tell that, like, she's definitely, like, awakening at, like, the very last episode, which is an awesome, like, season cliffhanger. Like, there's been this through line of what the fuck's going on with River throughout the whole thing, and you finally see her, like, become more confident, more capable, and like use some of her powers and have more like a glimpse into what the fuck's going on inside of her head.
Well, and because this is actually something that she can start applying her brain to, and she applies it. Because you're seeing her do it more and more over the course. Like the great, when she 3-shots the guys.
Oh, yeah.
And does that, which, again, I'm also a little bit like, Kaylee, why did you not bring this up
like, after it happened, that
like,
same
that day. Like, I would have been like, so, Captain,
I don't want to make too much of a big deal about this, but here's something you should know about.
Yeah, River can kill people with their eyes closed, with a gun.
Yeah.
So...
She killed people with math.
Yeah, basically. She does the math. And, like... That was just, like... Summer Glau did a great fucking job as River. And she's another actress. I know she's done other things, especially recently. I've seen her in absolutely nothing else.
I think the only other thing that I've seen her in was the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Oh, no shit. Who was she?
I think she was...
She's Terminator.
Yeah.
What?
It's been a long ass time.
What?
Like, I...
Oh, man.
The show was... weird, but like there was a lot to it to like, and unfortunately that was another thing that, you know, died before its time.
Yeah.
But
well, my big beef with it was the infinite waves of Terminators coming from the future, which doesn't make any sense with the goddamn timeline as established in the first film. But again, you know that this is my large... We've had this conversation before, and you know my issue with the Terminator films in that regard. Is that...
Oh, God. I watched all of the Terminator films in one weekend to prep for Salvation, which I then saw in theaters on opening weekend with family and friends. And I was like, this movie sucked. Why did you guys make me do this?
Yeah, I did Salvation in the theater because an old friend I'd had a falling out with years earlier invited me to a movie as kind of a peace offering. And
you're still not friends to this day.
Well, you know, maybe if we'd gone to see, you know, Lord of the Rings or something, you know, might have rekindled something. No, but
that lost romance.
I was okay with Terminator Salvation. I was intrigued for them to actually show the war going on, and that's what I really wanted them to start doing. Is okay, so show me the war. Mm-hmm. Show me like a 3-film trilogy of the humans getting wrecked, and then show me a 3-film trilogy of John Connor leading the humans to like sledgehammer the CPU, and like give me that. That's what I want to see. And instead we had Terminator 2, Terminator 3, Terminator Salvation, and I didn't even Terminator Genesis.
Terminator the abortion.
Terminator Genesis Evangelion.
Whoa.
No, I
you know not of which you speak.
You're right.
Do not use those words so lightly. I don't want to kick you out of my house for your ignorance.
No. I've seen a little bit of Neon Genesis.
No, you've seen a little bit of Shinji being a bitch. There's a difference.
Okay.
If only fractionally.
Okay. Well, because I saw the last giant like OAV episode thing from...
It's OVA.
OVA.
Yes.
What did I say?
OAV.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's wrong.
Oh, adult videos.
This is the proper acronym. But you know, which is too bad because Emilia Clarke's a good actress, and a lot of people were kind of like, man, what is this going to be like with Terminator Genesis? And they had the huge like marketing blitz, and then it came out, and I heard nothing, which is not a good sign.
Yeah. I heard more than nothing. I guess that it was bad.
Yeah, I can definitely see that being the case. It's just it just went in the toilet. Just went in the toilet, and I just don't get how you can keep bringing back clones of Arnold. I mean, it's not like
I really fucking hated that in Salvation too. Like he was the governor.
That's right.
But they still used his image in the movie, meaning he got paid.
Well,
I was like, God damn it.
Yeah, and they were trying to just pull in more people because they were
it's a current series.
But it doesn't make any fucking sense because if infiltrator units all looked like fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger, you could go, look, it's Arnold from 2 ridges away. Hit him with a rocket launcher. He wouldn't infiltrate anything. You'd be like, oh, it's Arnold. Like, he's fucking distinctive. He's not a nondescript man, you know? And in the flashback, in the first film, when they show the other infiltrator who's wiping out the base that Kyle is in, where he loses the picture. The picture burns. It's not goddamn Arnold. Guy's got an olive complexion. So don't you fucking tell me that it's all Arnold.
It is all Arnold. He just found a different guy to steal their clothes every time.
But is it there? God. Sorry. I get rabid about this. We should have
gotten wildly.
Yeah, we just went on a giant Terminator diversion. Need more ham. Need more ham. The most ham. Ham.
Alright, you done? You done on this tangent?
Ham. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm done. I give you my word. As I can't think of a reference. Firefly related. Son of a bitch. Does nobody actually give their word? Does someone give convict's word at some point? Feel like something like that. I don't know. It's something that Jane might say.
I don't know. I probably, but I can't think of an instance. I mean, like I feel like maybe Train Job, the original talk with Nishka, or Shindig when he's brokering the agreement with the dude.
Yeah. Shindig is always a weird one for me.
It's one of my favorites.
I dig it, but I'm also always just kind of like, all right.
It's weird and it's a change of pace, which is part of why I liked it. I also I really like Kaylee and like I'm like the whole snarkiness with like her and the other girls and like them being complete bitches, and then like all the guys glomming onto her. And, like, being like, oh, shit, like, you actually know about, like, you know, mechanics and, like, engines.
And, about ships. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's crap. It's the exact same goddamn engine. They just put a new sticker on it and fucked this thing up, and they bent that. Like, that's it. It's the same fucking thing. You take this one, and there's, like, the whole crowd being like, oh, yeah, this chick right here. No, yeah, like, I love that. And I love a lot of the episode. The one thing for me that always is just kind of weird is, like, I get that there's a certain amount of weirdness between Inara and her customers because of her role.
Right.
But it does bother me that, especially because of the fact that Inara is trained as a companion, so she's supposed to be able to read people incredibly well. And she chooses her clients based on a certain compatibility.
At all.
And she's like, I like Atherton. Like, that's one of the big points of the episode. And Atherton is, like, true fucking scum. And so that always bothered me because I was like, Inara is smart enough and good enough at her job that she would have been able to read him and know that he's the kind of guy who would be like, I should have uglied you up so no other man would have you. Like, that comes out of his mouth. Like, fuck that guy. And it's weird to me that she wouldn't have seen that side of him.
Yeah, and the whole, like, you know, I paid for you, you're mine shit. Like, that goes back into the whole, like, awkwardness of the original arrangement.
Where there's, like, we have the spiritual connection, but also you're paying me.
But why would you willingly go into that situation with that man if he feels that he has ownership over you, which is not really the arrangement to begin with?
It really isn't. Like, it's like the companion social which I thought was a fantastic thing to build into the world, was that kind of, the destigmatization of that kind of sex work to the point where it makes you someone who can open doors all over the place and someone who is socially, like, at the top of the heap.
It's almost going back to, like, that, almost like that geisha sense to it.
Or the courtesan.
Right.
Which gives you that extra power. But yeah, having the whole thing very, very, like, solidly set up, I thought was a really cool world element. And the other thing that's weird about that episode for me, which is, again, one of the complexities of Mal's character and something that I enjoy about the show, is the provinciality, for want of a better term, of Mal's view of sex and Mal's view of Inara's work. And a certain amount of it is, they, like, snarky give each other shit about what they do, like, constantly, because neither of them actually know how to, like, flirt outside of their normal circumstances. And both of them are, like, flirting outside of their normal circumstances. Particularly Mal just doesn't know how to goddamn flirt. He's like, gurg, 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 beep, beep, boop, beep.
This isn't a war or smuggling. I don't know what the fuck
I don't know what to do. Yeah, like, he's highly optimized away from romance. But it is one of those things where it, like, so heavily hits his, like, weird provincial, like, problem with what she does with her time.
Well, yeah, the
hard in that episode.
The whole thing where Inara says it point blank was like, you'll hit a man for implying that I'm a whore, but you'll call me one point blank to my face.
Yeah. And also, what's wrong with being a whore? Like, which is, again, it's like, my job is far more legitimate than yours is.
Right.
How dare you give me any shit for making my living? Which is part of the wonderful complexity of their characters' relationship and part of the complexity of Mal. Which, again, something that I really liked about the show was that all of the main characters are very, very lovable in a lot of ways, and are really, really, I'm trying to think of they're strong in their own regard. And then also all of them have, like, serious, big, like, gaping flaws, which was realistic and also put so much potential in there for cool story stuff, interesting conflicts in between the characters. I mean, the fact that Jane is, from a D&D standpoint, pure chaotic neutral, but he recognizes the fact that Mal has his back and isn't going to betray that, because Mal does truly have his back.
Right. That whole bit with them meeting and, like, Jane switching sides and Mal being like, you know what, like, you're getting fucked over here. Like, if you come over and work for us, we will, like, essentially treat you as an equal.
Yeah.
You won't have to fucking share a bunk. You'll have your own fucking room. You'll get more than, 7 or 10%? Yeah, it's straight off the top. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, like 7, straight off the top. That's terrible. You'll get, like, a 5th. Like, which is, again, like, he treats the crew well, and there's, like, great, like, why did you come back? You're on my crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could have left us. You're on my crew.
Yeah.
Why are we still talking about this? And it's that simple for Mal. It's no, you're part of my squad. It doesn't matter if I like you or if I hate you.
Well, yeah, and it goes back to his time in the war. Like, that whole, like, general, like, no man left behind type thing. Like...
But they left all their men behind because all their men were dead. Which, God, that opening where there's the guy who's too scared to call for air support and, like, cowers the whole time. And is like, we're going to die, we're going to die. No, we're not going to die. And you know why? Because we're just too pretty. We're too pretty for God to let us die. And then at the end of it, it's like, no, we're going to make it. And then there's the slow motion shot of Mel going, oh, God, we're not going to make it. And then the guy who he was, like, telling they were going to make it, just getting repeatedly shot in the chest and going down in slow-mo, like, in the background. That was a touch that I rewatched that shot like 5 times when I was watching it, because I was like, that's fantastic. That's glorious.
But at the same time, you gotta, like, say whatever you can in the instance to, like, inspire your troops, inspire your comrades.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think Mal was wrong. I think Mal did everything right. That's the whole point of that scenario, is that Mal did everything right and he still lost because the world fucking hates Mal. And that's, oh God, the Unification Day episode where there's just the, like...
Say your coat's kind of brown.
Yeah, like, bunch of inbred piss pots. I called you a coward. In a piss pot. And it's like, Captain, why every time on Unification Day do we wind up going to a shitty Alliance bar and getting into fights with people. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just here for a friendly drink. Like, I will work out my rage at the outcome of my entire political destiny by beating random drunkards. Effectively. Highly effectively. Like, because he has Jane. Like, anytime that you can apply Jane to a brute force problem...
Which is something that I thought was really funny about Objects in Space. The one man that could have actually done something did fucking nothing the whole time.
He sleeps through the whole goddamn episode. He's the only one...
He turns over, like, rips the, like, sheet that's protecting his guns off the wall so he can grab his guns if somebody comes down in the bunk and just goes, like, back to...
goes back to sleep. Fuck it. There's nothing going on. Though, that I actually loved was, as a point that they made with the episode, is that early outclasses all of them significantly with anything having to do with physical combat. Like, he dominated the situation. This is what this guy does for a living. Right. So I feel like even Jane probably wouldn't have been able to take him out in hand-to-hand. Jane would have been able to, if he busted out of the bunk with Vera, shit would have been done. Because fucking Vera... And speaking of Vera...
Are you offering me a tray?
Yeah. It's a good gun! Jane! Jane!
You don't deserve what you got.
I was gonna...
She has a name! Well, this does too.
She's a name. She's a person. Yeah, this is Vera. Jane! Just go back to your book. Oh. Which I was about to say, speaking of Vera, Saffron.
Yes.
Equally dangerous as Vera the gun, though far more sentient.
And far more sensual.
Yes. Was another character that I found really interesting as like a long-term antagonist.
Trash is one of my favorite episodes too.
Yeah. That episode is fucking on point. Like, whole nine. I shaved my beard for you, devil woman. Like, he sails away into the sky.
It's definitely a sentiment I can relate to. Like, if you shave your beard for somebody, that means a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And if they betray that trust.
Well, and if the whole thing was a scheme
right,
from someone who screwed over your old war buddy, which, again, like, and I'd love to actually find out how she managed to embed on Elder Gommon's planet. Mm-hmm. Originally, in the first one where they pick her up. Because, like... Generally, you don't just, like, infiltrate Amish communities.
Right.
And I mean, like, I'm going to give her, like, mad props for having, like, huge ranks in diplomacy and whatnot, again, from a D&D, terminology point of view. But, like, that's difficult. Like, I mean, I suppose she could have crash-landed on the planet and been like, oh, let me join.
Right.
Crash-landed, quote-unquote, I should say.
The shuttle that she stole off of whatever ship that she hijacked last ended up there.
Yeah. Well, or she landed it to try and pull in more people, because she knows it's a bigger planet, occasionally ships will happen by. I mean, shit, she could have actually been responsible for setting up the deal with the bandits as a way to pull in mercenary ships that then they could steal with the net, because the dudes at the thing...
That's layers upon layers.
I was thinking about that actually this time watching through. I was like, I wonder if that whole thing was a setup for the dudes with the net. Like... Yeah, get a bunch of bandits, tell them about this planet that's an easy target. Mm-hmm. Lure in mercenaries for trying to get the contract to protect the planet. Snag the mercenaries. We get, like, fat parts.
Oh, yeah.
For the scrapyard. It's also funny seeing that actor who plays the, like, guy who runs the net.
Completely unfamiliar with him.
He's done, like, guest spots on TV shows for fucking ever. Probably his most... famous role was as the boss on The Shield. Did you ever see The Shield? Michael Chiklis plays the head of a squad of dirty cops. They're all really terrible people.
Okay.
There are, like, no redeeming characters on the show, which is why I watched
those
like,
are the shows
season
that I love to watch.
Hey! Yeah, I stopped watching after, like, a season. But yeah, he plays their, like, overworked police captain boss who's, like, trying to moderate their horribly illegal activities but they're, they still arrest people, so He's trying to keep everything in balance. And he gets raped like halfway through season 2 and has like a giant arc. I don't know actually which season it was, but there's like this giant arc of him like dealing with having been raped and then like going and like murdering the guy who raped him. So when I'm watching this show, I'm like, oh my god, it's Captain Acevedos. Oof. Oof. Oh man! Like every time I see that actor, I have that immediate reaction of like, "Oh God!" Because my first introduction to him was literally the episode of him getting raped on the Shield. So I was like, "Oh my God!" So sorry, that's a weird little sideline for me. Every time I watch that episode,
it's cool, and I mean, I'm glad they tackled that issue, I guess.
It's a rough show, dude. Like, the Shield is just, like I said, there are no redeeming characters. It's very, very harsh and it's very unpleasant. And it ran for a lot of seasons.
Unlike Firefly.
Unlike Firefly, which was harsh but very pleasant. And well made. And everybody's redeemable, except for probably Niska. And possibly... Yeah. Jubal Early. Yeah. I mean, he did torture the neighbor's dog.
Yeah. There's stuff that, like, how much of is what River's saying legitimate and how much of it is simply to fuck with him.
I think you can tell because there's the stuff that he gets wiggy about.
Right.
And that's one of the ones when she starts going into the dogs didn't like you and you didn't like them. And they all knew that it was you when the neighbor's dog disappeared and when your dog disappeared, like doing the whole thing. And like, because that's what actually gets to him, but also leads to him being like, oh God, she's on my ship. Oh shit, she's on my, no, wait, shit, no, don't check my ship. Oh God. Which also, sweet ship Early's got there. Super sweet ship.
Well, yeah, and how much of it, like, washes... He may be quirky, but he's also fully capable. And, like, how, like, under the radar it was. It's like, oh, we might have a radar problem or, like, small problem with, like, engine exhaust or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting a weird reading off the engine wing.
Yeah.
Oh, huh. Crazy. Yep. Nope. It's actually just Early. I like to believe that Early survived.
I do, too.
Specifically because he's too good at what he does to not... Well, okay, that's illogical.
There's no...
He's in deep space.
Yeah.
And he can't quite lore it, Like, lore can be like, well, I will float for 3 years until I physically run into a Pac-Lid vessel.
Yeah.
But there could have been other ways. I was also weirded out that they didn't just, like, steal and scrap his ship.
Yeah. I mean, there was no reason not to. There's 100% profit in it. You don't give a shit about the guy that you just fucked over. It's not like...
dank-ass parts.
Yeah.
Like, see if you can integrate some of that shit into your system.
Or like, potentially just store it and, like, have that as, like, Shuttle 2.0.
Yeah!
Like, that would have been business.
I mean, it would have been difficult because the way that they build the shuttles it's like so integrated into the actual system of the ship. But even just having parts for that, like, fly back to... a decently sized world and be like, hey, we've got all the parts for this 1967 Ford Charger. Dodge Charger. Dodge Charger? Dodge Charger.
Dodge Charger.
Dodge Charger. It's what Michael Weston drives. I should know this.
But yeah, I don't know. I still, I definitely had jumped there to think that Kaylee and Wash could have integrated into the ship, but they did repair that whole fucking medical vehicle on Ariel.
Yeah. Like, they know their shit well enough to be able to be like, oh, here's a part that we can use for this thing. And that could be super fucking useful as well. Like, take all the parts that you could use on Serenity, and then take the rest of the parts, hock them, and then Early can't, I don't know if he has remote access to his ship. He might have remote access to his ship.
That's very true. That would be the easiest explanation as to how he would survive that as well.
Yeah, is like, okay, I'm going to wait for them to get out of range, because now they know how to detect me, and then I'm going to recall my ship and get back into it. Which, again, that's my theory for how Early survived, because just such an interesting character. Like, really interesting to find out how Whedon came up with that role, which would be cool. Speaking of jumping back, the medical heist episode.
Yeah.
Another one of my all-time favorites.
I would agree. It was interesting watching. So many of my favorite episodes are just tailored towards the end of the show, which makes me even more sad that there wasn't a season 2. The writing got so much better. The intrigue was so much thicker. I'm not going to say it wasn't present earlier on, but like there was a lot more layers within layers.
Well, because, they do so much expansion of basically, like, we're dealing with concepts of the rim worlds at the beginning. And then it starts being like, okay, here's another layer, here's another layer, here's another layer.
Yeah, because I'd seen the show, once or twice, and I've seen episodes since then, but it's more like, I want to watch this episode, rather than, like, another full watch through. And it was just kind of amazing. I was like, man, when's Ariel? Man, when's Trap? Like, all these episodes that I really enjoy, and I was like, oh, they're all at the end. Like,
yeah,
the next
it's like the last
4 or
6
5
episodes is like...
Oh. But anyways, Ariel.
Well, no, and I love that one, both for all of the world expansion, and for really dealing with Jane character stuff, which you only really get, like, the 2 big episodes with Jane... that are like really dealing with the intricacies of his character and his own weird morality and view of himself, which are the hero of Mudville, the man they call Jane, and Ariel, because they're the ones that deal with what he's okay with and what he's not okay with, and especially coming from that opening moment where River does just walk up to him and, like, severely cut him with a kitchen knife and go, "You look good in red." Like, he views them as a threat at that point. And that's part of what's so interesting about that is there's the viewing as a threat part of him, but there's also, he has such a deep respect for Mal and the way that Mal does things.
He never liked them. He made that abundantly clear time and time again. And he went along with it as long as he did, specifically for Mal.
Yeah. And that was the point where he was finally like, no, she literally walked up to me with a knife. Like, I'm turning them into the cops for money. Which you could never, ever
You mean
trust.
my reward.
Yeah, like...
Oh.
Which was, again, like, you just can't... But again, he would have been able to directly turn them in and just claim a reward if he wasn't trying to do it in a cutty way so that Mal wouldn't ever know.
Right.
Which is also something that I thought that was interesting. Going all the way to the point where Mal's going to flush him out the airlock, and he's like, just please don't tell the others. Like, I don't want them to think this of me. And especially coming after the Mudville episode, where Jane is really, like, struggling with, like, trying to be a better person. Trying to be this hero that these people want him to be. And realizing that he isn't.
Right.
But that he wants to be. And then having that whole realization in the other episode of the, like, no, I even if I'm dead, I don't want them to know.
There's something that I really love when a character can look at something, accept its fate, and there's the resignation in it.
Yeah.
And kind of to go back to the whole bit about Shan Yu and the torture thing with Nishka, the whole, like, concept of, like, bring a man to his brink. Show him his fate, and, like, you will really understand, like, who he is at his core, the core.
Yes.
And, like, so much of that was in that episode with Jane. Is like, you, like, if you fucking kill me, like, I understand. Like, I fucked up.
Yeah.
But, like, don't let it, like, that is who he is.
Yeah. And that is, and I thought that was so beautifully done. As well as, like, the only other real, like, glimmer that you get into that, like, the inner workings of why Jane is Jane, and I think is probably related to that, is the episode where he gets the hat from his mother.
Right.
Which is...
A man walks down the street wearing that, and no, he's afraid of nothing.
Which is, it's a stupid hat. Like, when the dudes bust onto the ship, like...
Oh, that fucking episode. I love it and I hate it, because that character is such a shit.
Yeah. Well, and you're literally, like, just trust that they're not gonna burn you, homie. They didn't burn you in the war.
Yeah.
They haven't burned you since you burned them by getting your dead-ass corpse shipped to them. Like,
you know why I
trust
picked
the
you? Because you and Zoe are saps.
Fuck
you. Without
I saved
them,
your
they
ass.
wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, so many times in the war. And I mean, obviously at that point it is just him. It's him lashing out.
Right.
And which is part of the point, is that he's like an angry child who is lashing out against everything. Well, that's why that episode for me is probably like... I love the beginning of it. I absolutely fucking love the beginning of it. I love the whole organ smuggling concept of the, like, yeah, we have to smuggle them in a human body, and we scoop out all of their guts, put in the, like, smuggled guts, and then put their guts back in at the end. Like, that's actually, like, a cool future smuggling thing that people could do. But... like, because of that, and because of, like, that through line of the rest of the episode, and him, like, jumping in and being like, Kaylee, yeah, see, I'm everybody's friend. Oh, wait, guns everywhere! Like, it's definitely, like, bottom third
for sure
for me, in terms of episodes. It's totally jumping back like a ton of episodes, but it's an overall thing that I really like about the show, is that they don't ever just let things kind of die. I mean, there's occasional episodes where it's like, oh, well, I mean, Book's at his fucking retreat, and we're picking him up afterwards, so you want us to drop you off for a while. We're going to be back in the area. Like, I love those kinds of things where it's actually explaining, like, why isn't this character here? There's some other thing that's going on in their lives, and they're doing it. But... also dealing with the realities of, like, jacking stuff. So, they steal this absurdly rare, valuable laser.
The Lassiter.
Yeah, the Lassiter. And they're like, wait, shit.
We can't sell this. Because everybody knows exactly what it is, because there was only, like, 2.
Yeah, there's 2 left. And we just jacked one from this absurdly wealthy alliance. Fuck. And so they're sitting on a fortune...
right.
But they can't actually move it. And that was something else that I was really looking forward to if there was a second season. Well, of course, there isn't. With...
every April Fool's, Firefly is renewed, guys! Yeah. Like, god damn it, that joke has gotten old.
Yeah. But, I mean, Netflix did option rights on it a couple of years ago.
They did pick up Arrested Development, which was very much the same, like, in the same boat as Firefly. Obviously, very different shows. But Arrested Development was on Fox for a while, and then it got canceled, and it had more of, like, a hit cult following after it was canceled.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not saying, oh, it's dead in the water, but...
I don't think... well, if that had happened before Serenity came out...
right.
Because Serenity was Whedon going, I'm never going to get to finish this, let me do what I can to finish it.
Right.
And so in doing so, he dramatically changed the fabric of the show, from my understanding. Again,
right.
Haven't seen it. But I've had a couple of spoilers on it, and I've also just had people tell me, like, yeah, like, he tries to wrap up the story. And because of that, trying to option the series now, it would have to be something really, really different. It would, because of what they changed about the fabric of the story and that. So, again, I don't know the details of what they changed, but that, I think, is probably the problem right now with the fact that they're like, okay, we've picked up the rights to potentially do this, but I would bet that Whedon
where do
was
we go now?
Yeah. Ham. It's all about ham. But, like, and I would be willing to bet dollars to donuts that Whedon himself had something to do with that, of them being like, hey, we want to do Firefly, and he's like, how?
Well, I've heard that there's a comic continuation thing. I haven't read it. I haven't really looked into it. It's something that, like, has kind of flown under the radar, at least for me. But, you know, there's more stuff that they could do, obviously. There's a lot of, you know, stuff within the world. There was a lot of world building that was done throughout, you know, Firefly and Serenity. There's a lot of things that you could go off on that. And, I mean, you know, it takes place at such a certain time that, like, you could pick it up at a different place. Like, you could do, essentially, you know, the battle for independence or the whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
That would be mega interesting, and you'd have, you still have Mel, you still have Zoe, you'd have the other interesting relationships and characters that pop up throughout. I mean, the whole thing about the war buddy bonds and Trash.
Yeah.
We don't know, hardly jack shit about that character.
Yeah.
He seems cool. I don't fucking know.
No, but they could have brought back so much other stuff. Oh, I thought we liked him. We do.
Trust me, if him and Captain had a fight, he'd be scraping the captain's teeth out of the ground right about now.
Yeah, no, which I absolutely love that. And yeah, it's such a rich universe that they could keep expanding, even if it follows a different group. But that's part of what's sad about Firefly, is that it was such a beautiful, again, I'm going to use the image, a gem of a show, because it was unique, and it was doing this kind of different thing, and it has a really unique feel that's really unlike any other show's feel that I've ever seen, and then, because of network circumstances, it's clipped permanently. And there isn't really a way to continue that feel. And I'd be super down for other expansion in the world, but trying to replicate that feel, I think, would be impossible, because it was so much of that moment and those characters coming together in that way that created that vibe. And I don't know, I'll have to check out the comics, because I know that that's how the original creators of Gargoyles were able to finish the story the way they wanted it to. After, I believe, season 3 of Gargoyles, they turned in the new scripts, and there was, a big series of plot events that, led to the Gargoyles being, publicly discovered by the population at large. And they wanted to go, very realistic and darker with it than Disney was willing to go. So they turned in the scripts, and Disney was like, no, you can't actually do this. And they were like, but it's the only logical end point. And so Disney fired them from their own show. And the entire cast quit in protest. So they did another 3 seasons of Gargoyles after that, but with a totally different writing staff and totally different actors voicing all of the characters. And the original creators still had the rights to the characters and the story as long as it wasn't on television. So they released a series of graphic novels to complete the story the way they wanted to. So it's one of those powerful tools that...
Yeah, it's also just irksome when you go through and you create something, but the process to get it out there and get it seen forces you to lose at least partial creative control of what's going on.
Yeah.
So somebody that's not even fucking associated with it technically has ownership over your work.
And is no, you can't touch it. Sorry. Yeah, and that shit, that is
I understand
miserable.
it, but I fucking hate it.
Yeah. Well, and it shouldn't be true. Again, I understand the economics of, okay, the station is trying to do what's going to be the most valuable for them, what's going to make them the most money, they don't want to go off-brand, whatever it is. I feel that. But if you hired a group of people to create something, God damn it, let them create it. And then if it tanks, fire them.
Right.
And that's shitty to say...
And then don't continue it without them is the other thing.
Yeah, what the shit is that? Oh yeah, we're going to continue it with other people, completely wrecking your property and all of your ideas and all of your characters.
Firefly 2 with Keanu Reeves as Malcolm Reynolds.
And, who would it be? It would be it'd be Scarlett Johansson and Zoe.
Zoe? Oh, God. The amount of outrage at that.
Oh, yeah. Hence the joke. But we could get Will Smith as Wash.
Definitely.
Will Smith as Wash. Just do a total reboot.
David Spade as Simon.
Oh man, I'm loving it. Rosie O'Donnell as River.
What the actual fuck, Patrick? Well, when Trump becomes president, Rosie O'Donnell's going to be banned from television.
Well, no. See, the underground. The underground will put her on television. She will become the voice of the resistance. Rosie O'Donnell.
God Damn. I think on that note, it's probably time to wrap this up.
See if I can't get some sleep someday ever. Well, to all you people out there in the TBD world, glad you were with us for this strange meander through the outer rim.
Parts unknown.
Yes, just like the Ultimate Warrior. And good night, sweet people. And remember, I don't have an end.
Well, and if you haven't watched Firefly, you should watch Firefly. And hopefully you'll be back for Serenity. We'll see you in a few weeks, people.
See you in hell!
Special hell.
Special. Oh, I'm going to the special hell.